Now there's a lot of times where you want a really strong texture on your set and you think, how do I get a really strong, really depth texture on my set? And a really good way to do it, and a really inexpensive way to do it, is with sawdust. And you're thinking, what are you gonna do with sawdust? That's kind of weird. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna mix it into your paint and create kind of a paste that you can create a really textured look. And this is great for stucco. You can create some stone effects, you can create some brick effects, and some maybe some tile effects with it. So what you want is regular old sawdust. So if you know anybody that has their own home shop, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give you their sawdust. Try to keep it relatively fine, not a lot of chunks in it. And then you're gonna want some just normal old latex paint. I usually try to use a color similar to what I want it to turn out to. So if you're doing a stucco, you probably want to stick to kind of a cream or a tan or maybe a gray. So think about what you want the finished product in, and that'll help you along the way. Now you can paint this after, that's totally fine, but it really kind of helps you out if you start off with a color that you're going to end up with. Now if you've ever done any baking, you know you don't add everything at once because you're going to get a big clump. So what you want to do is the same way you're baking, is take little bits at a time and add it to your glue, keeping stirring the entire time. Keep stirring the entire time. Make sure it's well incorporated. Add some more. And what you're looking for is kind of a semi-thick oatmeal kind of consistency. Something else you can also use is sand. It gives you a nice texture. It's not going to be as textural. It's going to be, it's going to be a finer kind of feel to it. But it works equally well, and again, not terribly expensive. And you're saying, well, I can't get sand. Well, pretty easy to get sand actually. They sell it at Lowe's and Depot as play sand. So you can get a nice big bag of it, not terribly expensive. It'll go pretty far. But obviously the cheapest way to go is sawdust, because anybody with a shop will have plenty of sawdust for you to use. So if I was doing a big project, I would have done this in a big bucket, but since I'm just doing a small little piece for you, it's a small bucket. So what you want to get is it's kind of like oatmeal, kind of a not thin, not runny oatmeal. You kind of want it to stick on your stirrer. You want it to have some body to it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take a paintbrush, and I like these chip brushes. These are fairly inexpensive, and so you don't feel bad about throwing them away after you're done. And they work really, really well. So I use these a lot, probably a lot more than most people do, because they're pretty easy to get to, and I don't feel bad about if they happen to go bad and get ruined. So what you want to do is dip it into your goop. You kind of have to shovel it, and you put it on, and what you want to do is kind of pounce it. You want to kind of dab it on, and you want it to keep it irregular. You don't want to have any kind of repeating pattern, so you want to keep your hand moving and turning the entire time. And you don't want to get too thick, because if you do, then it'll start releasing from the underlayment, and your decorative treatment will fall off, which is not a good thing. And you want to make sure that you don't put so much sawdust in that the paint can't adhere to the sawdust and create a whole material that will hold together. So you can do this whole thing. You can do it in pieces. I would say I prefer to do things in pieces if ever possible. So if you can do just individual panels of something, that's the way to go. So that's what you're going to get. You're going to get kind of a stucco kind of look. And here's what it looks like when it's dry. This would, as you see, if you get thicker, it starts to kind of crack. That's fine. And probably this, because I did get some cracks, if I just go over with a latex paint, it'll fill in most of those cracks. It'll be totally good. But this is actually, so this is a good way to get a stucco. But by using what we call a spike tape, or just a nice 1/2-inch tape. You can tape out an area, and then you can do the same technique and then take the tape up. Now take the tape up right after you do it. Don't let it dry. And so you can get kind of a brick look. So I would maybe paint this like brick. I could do these like stone. I could do a lot of things with this to create a look. So that's another nice way to create a look. So that is texturing with sawdust. Really easy, really cheap. A really good way to create a really good definition and texture on your set. Looks great under light. Light designers will love you for it because it gives them a nice surface to light off of. So a really good way to add some texture to your set. So I hope you enjoy it and I hope you try it out. So thank you so much.